My name's Patrick Sharry. Today I facilitated a very important meeting. For the first time at an ICANN meeting, we had the chairs of the SOs and ACs organise themselves together for a joint meeting of those groups. There were two topics discussed. We talked about the President's Strategy Committee and the improving institutional confidence work, and we also talked about new GTLDs, IDN, CCTLDs, and the issues around those things. It was a meeting that ran very well, not least because people recognised how important it was to bring these groups together to talk about issues of such importance. During the PSC session, we started with a presentation by the Chairman, Peter Dengate-Thrush. Peter outlined the recent work that the President's Strategy Committee had been doing and ran through a few slides that talked about the relevant areas that we needed to consider. We then got some views from the Supporting Organisation and Advisory Committee chairs who were seated at the top table, and from there we began a conversation with the community as a whole with an open mic session. There were a number of comments on many different aspects of that work. As the conversation proceeded, I tried to capture on the whiteboard some of the key topics of those conversations. That list of topics will then be presented to staff and to other parts of the organisation for further consideration as we move into the next phase of the Improving Institutional Confidence project. In the second half of our session, we concentrated on new GTLDs, IDN CCTLDs, and the issues that surround that. We began with comments from each of the Supporting Organisation and Advisory Committee chairs. They told us what was important in these areas from their own SO or AC perspective, and also why those things should be of importance to the community as a whole. We interspersed conversations from the SO and AC chairs with comments from the floor, and in particular we had a particularly productive session at the end where we looked at the issue of geographic names. This conversation produced interesting interplay between a number of people in the ICANN community about the issues of what was a GTLD and what was a CCTLD, how should the process run and who should be involved. Again, as we had this conversation, I collected on the whiteboard the main topics that people were covering. This list will be put into the process of one of a number of items that will be collected this week to help the team who are working on IDN CCTLDs and new GTLDs to further their work as part of the community consultation that they're doing in order to come up with the next phase of that for our next meeting in Mexico. Thank you for listening to all of this. It was a very important meeting for the ICANN community. As we work forward, I'm sure that we'll find better ways of running these meetings, and that means that by the time we get to Mexico and beyond, we'll actually have even more productive ways of bringing these important parts of the ICANN community together. Thanks again for your time. Bye-bye.